Thank you for tuning in again to Power for My People YouTube channel. I'm your host, Beatty London, and today we're talking about Bitcoin. So I've had some people, request that I do a video on Bitcoin. Recently, one of my homeboys said to me, he was like, most of the people that I talk to about investments, none of them are invested in Bitcoin. And I responded to him, don't let that be the reason why you don't invest. Just do your homework because it's worth at least $5, $10 a month. And I know you can afford that. And that's what I want my beautiful black kings and queens out there. I see you. I see you. Appreciate all of you all tuning in. And that's what I want us to realize. You can invest $5 a month in Bitcoin, and then you can learn as you accumulate and then make a decision. Do I want to do a little bit more, or do I want to cash out? But either way, we need to pay attention to Bitcoin because the Fed is working on the digital dollar. Bitcoin is decentralized. The digital dollar is going to be centralized, meaning the government's going to control. They can put an expiration date on the digital dollar. They can monitor it, monitor your spending habits. They can turn your digital dollars off. I really believe Bitcoin's going to be universal money, a universal storage of value. And it has so much upside. The beautiful thing about Bitcoin is it makes you the bank, it makes you the payment system, and it is the payment. So when you invest in Bitcoin, it's like you are a reserve bank. Now they say Bitcoin is digital gold. Now nobody's going into Starbucks and buying coffee with a gold bar or a gold coin. So I don't expect Bitcoin to serve as a medium of exchange. But as of right now, it's universal money. It's borderless. It's the money of the internet. And as long as you got a cell phone on you or a computer, you have access. And Bitcoin, it's basically a ledger, a digital ledger. And when you purchase Bitcoin, you have access to an address in that Bitcoin network. And in that address, you can send money to another address. So you're investing in a global network. I mean, Bitcoin has tons of security because we have over 10,000 nodes or computers. So running the network and checking everything, verifying. So I think it's something that if you haven't gotten involved in, you need to get involved in it, Black people. We need to get involved and we need to at least have the knowledge about it, learn the pros and cons because it has counterparty risk. It takes electricity. You need electricity and you need technology. Now, that's why Bitcoin and silver go well together because in order to verify and view your Bitcoin, you're going to be using technology, which is going to be using silver. Why not have both? Nothing wrong with having both because, look, if you see my videos, you know I like alternatives to the system. You got to have some alternatives to the dollar because all fiat currencies go to what? Zero. You got it. All right. So Bitcoin allows you to be a reserve bank. Instead of, say you're a business, somebody in China wants to buy a t-shirt from you. You sell t-shirts. They don't have dollars. They have to use Visa. Okay. Well, when they use Visa, their payment connects to a central bank that Visa is allocated with. And then when you receive that payment, Visa still has to get that cut to process that payment in order to give it to you. Bitcoin cuts out that middleman. Bitcoin cuts that out. You are the payment system. Bitcoin is the payment system, and the bank. So you are the reserve bank. You are a reserve bank back in the day they would put gold bars in, and that reserve bank would have to keep your gold bars. They can't be like a traditional commercial bank and lend your gold bars out. No, a reserve bank has to keep your gold bars, but they charge you a fee. That fee is interest, because after 20 years, they might start raising their fees, or after 10 years, after 5 years. They're like, it's getting tougher to secure your bar. The longer we have it, it's going to get tougher to secure your bar. For them to make more money, they're going to have to start raising your fees. So those fees are inflation. But now you have digital gold that you can hold in a hard wallet. So you can store that digital gold. You have the payment system. You don't need a Visa, a SWIFT system, which is a lot of international payments go through the SWIFT system, which is denominated in dollars. That's one way the government weaponizes its dollars, when they cut people off from the SWIFT system, like Iran. It is what it is. You could feel one way or another, but the rest of the world feels a certain way about the United States and its privilege as the world reserve currency. JP Morgan, a couple of years ago, 2019, what did they say about the world reserve currency? They told their VIP customers that they feel like the dollar will be losing that absorbent privilege. Largest bank in America told its VIP customers. So that is something that we really should be looking into. Now, there's a show called Kaiser Report. Max Kaiser and Stacy, I love them. Love watching them because they're not afraid to just give you some of the truth that the propaganda and the media and the financial media in America is just not going to give you. And Max Kaiser had a really good quote on the show I was watching the other day. He said, when people are talking about the volatility of Bitcoin, he said, yeah, you can either have fiat money, which has low volatility, but a guaranteed loss of purchasing power, or you can have Bitcoin that has high volatility, but a guaranteed gain in purchasing power. So take your pick, because Bitcoin has performed, in the life of Bitcoin, it's outperformed all other assets. And if you've been watching it here lately, we touched 60,000 a couple of days ago. Then, of course, the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, got on and said some negative things about Bitcoin. It can never be this. It's not this. It's a... And then we had some whales decide to cash out. Some Bitcoin miners dumped some Bitcoin onto the exchange. They cashed out, and then the price dropped down to about 50. And yeah, it was one of the greatest drops in Bitcoin, but guess what? It's going to climb back up. Bitcoin is going to climb back up. I look at Bitcoin as a 10-year play. Do you expect to be here in the next 10 years? Imagine what Bitcoin is going to be in 10 years, 20 years. Now, one of the key years is 2025, because the next halving is in 2024, and the year after the halving is always a good year. Now, we had a halving last year. So what do I think about 2021? I think we may have six-figure Bitcoin. Now, look, Bitcoin is it's at the $1 trillion market cap. It's closing in on the silver's market cap. It just passed the Swiss franc as like the fifth or sixth biggest currency as far as market cap. It's got its sights on gold right now. It's got its sights on gold. Gold has about a $9 to $12 trillion market cap. Again, Bitcoin is like digital gold. So it's something that we really want to be paying attention to, especially this year, because every year after a halving, the year after the year of the halving, Bitcoin has an exceptional year. When I mean exceptional, I mean like 8 to 9 months it's up in gains. 8 to 9 months out of 12 of the year, it's going to be up in gains. So now, this is real interesting. Now, Bitcoin.com covered this, but I learned from watching Max and Stacy on the Kaiser Report. But the head of emerging markets and chief global strategist for Morgan Stanley, his name's Ruchir Sharma. He wrote a cool article. The article said why crypto was coming out of the shadows. Very important article, a great read that he wrote. We're going to talk about that for a little bit. Now, I'm going to quote him. I'm going to quote him directly so I don't mess any of this up. But it said, despite the jitters natural in a global pandemic, cryptocurrencies are rapidly gaining popular support as alternatives to gold as a store of value and the dollar as a means of payment. We talking about the chief global strategist for emerging markets, Morgan Stanley. This is not Beatty. This is Ruchir Sharma. Okay, we see fundamental reasons to believe that regardless of where the price of Bitcoin goes next, cryptocurrencies are here to stay as a serious asset class. Now you have an important, large financial institution, Morgan Stanley. You got an analyst from Morgan Stanley coming out and saying, you got to start taking it serious. That's why, I say it's worth at least $5 or $10. You can get on format like Coinbase, which is easy to sign up, download the app to your phone, and they offer you can value purchase $5 or $10 a month or more if you would like. But I'm saying it's worth at least 5 or 10. Don't miss out on this. All right. Another reason is generational. As young people view cryptocurrency as an improvement over metal coins. So this is specifically talking about the millennials, which are a larger number than the boomers. And the boomers were the most influential, population demographic. Well, the millennials are larger than the boomers, and they see some of the nuances of investing in gold as compared to Bitcoin. They see the Ponzi dollar scheme. They're learning about the manipulation of Wall Street. It says the unflinching demand from millennials has helped lower the volatility of Bitcoin even during the pandemic. So he's picked up on this group. Okay. It says this age group believes the open source software behind Bitcoin makes it more transparent, transferable, and trustworthy because anybody has access to the code. It's an open ledger. You don't know the person who sent and received. They're anonymous, the person who sent or received, but it's an open ledger. So you have to see that's the transparency in that. It's way more transferable than gold because if I want to buy something, if my wife's in Dubai, she sees something she wants to buy, but she didn't have the cash on her, I could send her the Bitcoin like that. Won't have to pay a lot of fees. As opposed to wiring the money, going to a bank, it's got to go to another central bank, fees along the way. Come on now. It says, okay, so this age group believes the open source software behind Bitcoin makes it more transparent, transferable, and trustworthy than paper money printed by governments. Ooh, Morgan Stanley. Paper money printed by governments. Come on now. Again, if you watch my earlier silver bag money grab videos, when the government prints money, I know some people are like, oh, we need that stimulus. But listen, it's like a pizza. There's 10 slices. One slice of that pizza will fill you up. But if I cut it in 20 slices, yeah, I can feed more people, but those smaller slices aren't going to fill you up as much. That's what happened every time this. Look, they're about to release 1.9 trillion in stimulus. Purchasing power goes down. Every president is going to try to outdo the previous president. In 2020, when Trump did his stimulus in response to the pandemic, he surpassed anything that Obama did as far as printing money. Like in the 2008 crisis, when Obama started printing that money, bailing out banks, giving out free money, wiping out people's debts. But I digress. In 2020, America printed almost, I think it was 26% of all US dollars were printed in 2020. Come on now. Purchasing power going down. Now, this crypto confidence may reach even deeper in emerging markets where distrust in centralized authority runs high. I mean, that's the thing about who you want to work for dollars when the government can just print dollars and destroy the purchasing power. We want sound money. We want money that's going to hold its value. Silver, gold, platinum, and crypto, Bitcoin. Governments have been slow to recognize this evolution. Bitcoin is also starting to make progress on its ambition to replace the dollar as a medium of exchange. This Morgan Stanley analyst said this. Bitcoin is also starting to make progress on its ambition to replace the dollar as a medium of exchange. Now, this is what you got to understand, and I shout out to Max Kaiser because he explained this perfectly. The market cap for the US dollar is at least 300 trillion. If Bitcoin was to replace the dollar, let's imagine it would have to go to 300 trillion. As far as the market cap, right now, Bitcoin is at $1 trillion. So it would have to 300x. If Bitcoin was to 300x from where it is right now, one Bitcoin would be anywhere from $14 to $18 million. You heard it correctly. That's if it's going to have a $300 million dollar market cap. I don't think Bitcoin will replace the dollar as a medium of exchange because it's slow. It's slow. It has a high energy demand. Nobody's going to wait 10 minutes for a cup of coffee. Fast food. So there's some limits. I honestly think that when it comes to medium of exchange, if we truly need a medium of exchange, when the dollar has just gone to zero, I think another altcoin will serve that purpose a little bit better than Bitcoin. Again, Bitcoin's digital gold. Most people aren't going to McDonald's to use a gold coin or a gold bar to pay for their McDonald's. Bitcoin's digital gold. Most people are just going to save it. It's savings. It's king in that store of value. Yes, it does some medium of exchange because some people do use gold to purchase some things, and it still has that medium of exchange, especially when you're talking about overseas, international, borderless. People can have access to Bitcoin that are normally locked out of certain markets and stuff. So this, as long as they have a cell phone, they can have access to Bitcoin. So it's going to have some medium of exchange properties. But what I'm saying is I don't see it going to that 14 million or 18 million per coin, because I think there'll be some other altcoins, and I'll do a video. I appreciate you subscribing and liking this video. I'll do an altcoin video eventually to some opportunities that I think might be better as mediums of exchange. But the programmers on Bitcoin seem to be content with not necessarily evolving, trying to be too creative. It's just kind of found its niche. It's a great store of value right now. It's an investment that is increasing in its purchasing power. So Yes, it is volatile, but the volatility is good because a lot of the times people want to take profit, and that's okay. So when you see those pullbacks, excuse me, when you see those pullbacks, some people could be profit taking, but that allows others to get into the game. Everybody's not going to profit take at the same time, but it does allow for others to get into the game. Now, I do see Bitcoin challenging gold as king of store of value, and it's going to at least get to that 9, 10, 11, 12 trillion market cap. So I see Bitcoin definitely 300,000, 400,000. Oh yeah, per coin. I'm not saying this year. This year, I think Bitcoin has a chance to get to 6 figures this year. But it's going to definitely get to that $10 trillion market cap. So to get to that $10 trillion market cap, yeah, it's going to be 300, 400,000 a coin. Yes, from where Bitcoin is right now,